Hey, what's going on? Welcome back to the next episode of For Your Knowledge Friday. Today, I want to talk about a topic that's really been on my mind a lot lately. I've done a lot of thinking, in recent months, and this has been something that has stood out quite specifically to me, and it's something that I kind of continuously seem to be going back to. So, I figured we'll just make a video on it and talk about it because if I seem to be thinking about this much, I'm sure plenty of you guys are feeling the same way. So I want to break down a few of the key points around the topic of change that I've come to realize, and then my approach to actually implementing change and making things happen. So my goal with this video is to give you these key points so that you can hopefully, utilize them and be able to identify certain aspects of change that you may want to implement in your life. And hopefully you'll have, after watching this video, a bit of a framework that you can apply, to your own life. Because at the end of the day, I'm just here and I want to help as many people as possible through this experience. And I also want to continuously learn at the same time. So hopefully we can all kind of grow together in a sense and really just take away something from this. So the first key point I want to address is that nothing changes if nothing changes. You have to step back, analyze, and look at a situation and just make a decision to move in some direction. Any action is better than inaction. So at the end of the day, even if you might make a wrong move, make a slight mistake, as long as you can learn from that and then course correct, you're still going in the right direction. So the second key point that I want to touch on is your fear of failure. You have to rewire your brain, in a sense, to look at failure as a learning experience. There are no failures, only lessons, right? Like at the end of the day, you have to be able to sit back and objectively look at an outcome. And if you want to call it failure, let's call it a failure, right? Let's say you failed at something. Instead of just sitting there and getting upset that you failed and it didn't go your way, you have to analyze the situation and look at what went wrong objectively. Take all of your feelings out of it. I don't care how bad you may be upset. You have to just shut off that part of your brain. And you have to sit back and think, okay, what did I learn from this? What could have caused this failure to happen? You break down A, B, C, D, whatever it may be, and then you take that lesson and then you learn from it and you apply that knowledge that you've gained whenever you go at it again. Because that's also another key aspect of it is you can't just fail and then quit. I've done it in the past. I know many others have done it in the past, and that's the hardest part about this whole thing is that whenever you fail, it's just so much easier to quit than to learn and bounce back and try it again. You have to fail, learn from it, and then build upon those mistakes, because that's where true success and true growth comes from, is ultimately all rooted in failure. And for me, my mom has been a massive advocate of this. She has, I don't want to say encouraged me to fail, but in a sense, that's kind of what she's done. She understands through her experiences that failure has taught her so much more in life than her successes, and that's what she has told me. And she has always said, you can't be afraid to fail. As long as you start and you do something, you're making positive steps in the right direction. But you have to build upon those failures and use it as a learning tool instead of just sitting around and getting upset about it. Even though she's always kind of railed this into my brain, I never really, I guess it was a maturity sense. I'm only 21 right now, so I still have a lot to learn, and by no means am I saying that I have this mastered in any sense. I hope to learn from you guys just as much as you may learn from me here. So with that being said, there's always something to take away from failure. And I think having those roots implemented from my mother have been a great, resource that I've been able to use. But at the same time, I also kind of kick myself now looking back because I never really truly listened and took her advice. I've always kind of just known what she said, but I've never really applied it. And that's something that I'm really trying to change. And I think I am starting to make daily improvements on that. Absolutely. So the third kind of key aspect that I want to touch on is routines and habits and how they absolutely 100% do matter. According to a 2002 study by psychologist Wendy Wood, approximately 40 to 45% of daily actions are performed habitually, meaning people do them without even thinking about them or while thinking about something else. So once you have structures and systems and routines set in place that allow you to not have to think about that action, it just makes the rest of your day and solving other problems so much easier. Now, for me, that structure and routine is formed around health and well-being. So, eating healthy, going to the gym 6 days a week, staying in that constant, physical structure, I think has definitely allowed me to kind of elevate my both physical, obviously, but also my mental side. I feel much clearer and I feel like I can solve problems to a higher degree. And I just feel like I'm actually applying myself much more on a day that I work out 100%. So try and just build in some structure or routine in some sense. It doesn't have to be working out. It doesn't have to be exercise, although I highly advocate it. Um, it could really be anything, reading a book, reading the Wall Street Journal, just something that interests you that you can consistently do over and over and over again, and something that you don't have to think about. Now, one key part about this that I found is something very difficult, like working out and staying, very strict with that structure. In the beginning, it's very difficult. It's hard to build habits. Any habits are hard to build, good ones. And bad habits are just as hard to break. But believe me, once you have those systems and those structures in place, it's so much easier to go about the rest of your day because you know that you've accomplished something that you made a promise to yourself that you would do. And once you uphold that promise, everything else just feels so much easier. And the fourth point that I want to touch on is that no one knows exactly how to start. There is no single roadmap or outlined layout that gives you every detail, every possible problem that could arise in a situation. It's not there. There's no answer. There's no one specific thing that's going to tell you exactly how to start or how to get going in any aspect of life. If you ask any major successful CEO or anybody who's had success in any endeavor in their life, they're going to tell you that they probably did not know what they were doing when they started. They might have had some hints or some clues or some mentors, but there's no 100% definitive outline to starting. And they'll tell you that. And if you ask them now, yeah, sure, once they're successful and in that end game position, they have a lot of knowledge. But when they started, they probably barely knew anything, just the same as you or I. And that's also another kind of major part of this is that there's a lot of unknown and there's a lot of, potential risk of failure involved, obviously. And that unknown and that risk is always what has kept me personally from chasing a lot of things that I've really wanted to at the end of the day. And looking back now, I kick myself for it, but so many people are in this situation and they don't start just because they simply don't know what to do. They don't know how to do it. And the kind of biggest thing that I can tell you is to just start in any way. You have to just take a step in the right direction, as I kind of previously touched on. There's no one way to do it. And that's also kind of evident in real life when you look at any successful person. It's like, not everybody is a major CEO of a Fortune 500 company driving Lamborghinis and Bugattis, right? And it's like that for a reason, because it's not easy. And if it was, everybody would do it. And you can break that down in the simplest form as even change, like getting in the gym, for example, right? If everybody could press a button on a wall that gave them a six-pack abs and they were ripped, everybody would be jacked and ripped. Right? I don't think I'd be hard pressed to find a single person who would not say, yeah, I want a six pack, right? Like, let's be completely honest with ourselves. But the reason so many people don't have six packs and aren't shredded is because it's not easy. It's hard and it's not given to you and you got to earn it. So ultimately, at the end of the day, the most important part is simply starting. As I said before, any action is better than inaction. You're going to fail. You're going to get knocked down. You're going to have roadblocks that come up. But it's up to you to stick to the path and stay dedicated to whatever it is that you made the promise to yourself that you would fulfill. So for me, this major change that I'm making is to actually commit to this YouTube channel. This is actually the second video on the channel. I've made multiple attempts at YouTube before, but it was something that I would get super motivated to do and then just give it up once I got tired of it or once I ran into some roadblock in the process. And I'm done doing that. I'm tired of that. I'm tired of starting something and making positive steps, but then just kind of giving it up once something hard comes up and once a failure arises, if you will. So hopefully you guys could have learned something from this. I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts on this topic as well as many others. I kind of really enjoy this, I guess, philosophical side of life, if you will. And I'm super open to talking about a bunch of different, situations and topics. I got a ton of video ideas lined up, and I'm ready to kind of get to work on those. So again, hopefully you guys can learn something from this. And as I said before, I'm always open to learning from you guys as well. I kind of want to create this kind of community where we can all just really discuss this and hopefully grow and learn together. So hopefully you guys were able to take away something from this. If you liked it, drop a like on the video, maybe subscribe, throw me some support. Anything is greatly appreciated. I'm having a blast doing this stuff. So hopefully we can grow together in the future, and I will see you guys in the next one.